الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم رب هذه دعوة تامة والصلاة القائمة آتي محمد الفضيلة والوسيلة وابعثه مقام محمود كما وعد فإن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له واشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون وقال سيدنا مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم إن أصدق حديث كتاب الله وخير هدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار أما بعد يقول الله تبارك وتعالى يا أيها النبي اتق الله ولا تطع الكافرين والمنافقين إن الله كان عليما حكيما واتبع ما يوحى إليك من ربك إن الله بما تعملون خبيرا وتوكل على الله وكفى بالله وكيلا. Brothers and sisters, all praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we invoke the blessings of Allah and His good mention upon the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. You know, in the verse, Inna Allah wa malaikatuhu yasalluna ala nabi. You know, the word salat in the Arabic language, the word salat in the Quran has about 6 or 7 meanings. It means different things. Sometimes it means particular salat. Sometimes it means dua. Sometimes it means deen. In this verse, in Surah Al-Ahzab, and I really like Surah Al-Ahzab, he says, Inna Allah wa malaikatuhu yasalluna ala nabi. Verily, Allah and His angels yasalluna ala nabi. And it makes, you know, it seems like he's saying that they pray over the Prophet ﷺ. But the salat is different, whether it's from Allah or the angels. With respect to Allah, he says, really, Inna Allah wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi. With Allah, it means that Allah is mentioning Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a good way, fi man indahu. Because Allah, He holds open court with the malaika al-muqarrabin. Al-muqarrabin, or al-muqarrabun, either way you want to say, or depends on how it comes in the sentence. They're the angels that are close to Allah. And yusabbihuna hawla al-arsh. They go around the throne of the Rahman saying subhanallah, 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 subhanallah. And then you have other malaika that are holding the throne. And that's the heavenly hosts. Those are where the leading malaika, we don't know how many, they keep court with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so when Allah says, Inna Allah wa malaikatuhu yusalluna ala nabi, with Allah, what Allah is doing is He's mentioning the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. and saying good things about him amongst the heavenly hosts. In respect to the angels, well, malaikatu, like Allah says in another verse, وَيَسْتَغْفِرُونَ لِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, and they ask forgiveness for whomever is in the earth. For the angels, it's istighfar. They're asking for forgiveness. They're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the Prophet alayhi salam, even though Allah has forgiven the Prophet. Somebody asked me yesterday, they said, man, the Prophet is already forgiven. Right? But Allah has forgiven the Prophet sallallahu, we know that. But the Prophet would still ask for forgiveness, and we still ask for forgiveness because no one is ever safe. Even the Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam did not consider himself to be safe from the makr of Allah, from the plan of Allah. And Allah says, وَمَنْ يَأْمَنْ مَكْرُ اللَّهِ إِلَّا قَوْمُ الضَّالُونَ. Who would ever consider himself to be safe from the plan of Allah except for those who are astray? See, this is one of the components, my brothers and sisters in Islam, of taqwa. Because we mentioned, I think, in the last week khutbah, that taqwa is the process of you're trying to save yourself from Allah. You're trying to hide from Allah, not hide, but you're trying to protect yourself from His wrath. Because that's the only thing that Allah can ever owe a person. Nobody will ever earn Jannah. No one. No one will ever earn Firdaus. The only thing that you can ever have right to as a human being, as an abd, as a servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that He won't punish you. In the hadith, in Sahih Bukhari, in the hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal, the Prophet ﷺ was riding with Mu'adh, and Mu'adh was sitting on the back of the donkey with Rasulullah. He said, Ya Mu'adh. Prophet, and he said, the bait was Sayyid, present and ready answer, whatever you wish. That's how some of them used to answer Rasulullah. We would call him and say, the bait was Sayyid. He said, Atadri ma haqqullahi ala ibad. Do you know what the right of Allah over His servants is? And he said, Allah wa Rasuluhu a'lam. He said, Allah and His Messenger knows best. He says, the right of Allah over His servant is أن يعبدوه ولا يشركوا به شيئا. To worship Him and don't associate any partners with Him. And then he said, so do you know what the rights of the ibad, of the servant, has over Allah if they do what His right? See, this is a deep situation, scenario between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because our life, brothers and sisters, is by contract. Always remember, everything in Islam has to do with contract. Everything. Everything. From the time you're born, to the time you die, to the time you stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to do with contractual obligation. Everything has to do with contract. Your salat, your zakat, it's all contractual. Hajj is contractual. The rights of your neighbor is all contractual. Everything. You can't do anything in Islam without being under contract. Nothing. Even sitting on the side of the road. The Prophet said to some of the companions, he said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَجُلُوسْ بِالطُّرْقَاتِ. He said, I warn you about sitting on the side of the roads. And they say, Ya Rasulullah, what about the road? He said, well, if you insist that you got to sit on the side of the road, then give the road its right. They say, what's his right, Ya Rasulullah? He said, Raddu Salam. Then you have to respond to the salam. وغض النصر number. You have to lower your gaze. And you have to enjoy the good and forbid the evil. Even just sitting, you can't just sit on the road as a Muslim and say, Richard, I'm just chilling. I'm taking a break. Everything is contractual. From the beginning to the end. So taqwa is part of that contract. Taqwa is the process of you doing what you need to do in order to be safe from Allah. So when he said to Mu'adh, he said, well, Mu'adh,